any American farmer what the best tractor in the world is, and you'll get one of two answers. John Deere or Kubota. Green or orange, American or Japanese. Those are the only options, right? I used to think that too. But when you dig into the global tractor data, sales figures, market share, quality awards, farming communities across 4 continents, you find something that changes the whole picture. There's a tractor company that sells more machines than anyone else on Earth. They've won the Deming Prize and the Japan Quality Medal, the only tractor company in history to ever win both. They've been the #1 brand in the world's largest tractor market for 43 straight years. And they've been selling tractors right here in America for 32 years. And most American farmers have never heard of them. This is the story of how one country quietly built the world's biggest tractor empire while America wasn't paying attention. Why this matters to American farmers. Let's talk about what American farmers are actually dealing with right now. Total U.S. farm debt is projected to hit $625 billion in 2026, a record, up over 60% in 10 years. Farm bankruptcies in 2025, up 46%. Net farm income peaked at $182 billion in 2022. By 2024, it had collapsed to around $128 billion. The median American farm household earns negative farm income. The people growing your food are surviving on second jobs. The average American farmer is 58 years old. Equipment repair costs are up 41% since 2020. These people don't need the most feature-packed tractor on the planet. They need one that works, that they can fix, and that doesn't require a software subscription to operate. So I ranked the 4 biggest tractor-producing regions by one metric: real-world performance, where farmers actually need tractors, not in trade show booths, in actual dirt, under actual pressure. Number 4 is going to make you laugh. Number 3 will surprise you. Number 2 will earn your respect, and then break your heart. And number 1 is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about who builds the best machines on Earth. Number 4, China, the complete failure. Chinese manufacturers tried to dominate the global tractor market the same way they dominated everything else, flood it with cheap products. Africa alone saw over 100 different Chinese tractor brands enter the market. Prices were unbeatable, sometimes under $5,000 for a complete machine. Farmers bought them in massive numbers, and then they broke. Problem number 1, the build quality. The metal was soft, frames cracked, bolts stripped, welds failed. Farmers started calling them one-season tractors, because that's about how long most lasted before something structural gave out. This isn't because China can't build quality. They can. It's that they race so hard to the bottom on price that they forgot a tractor isn't a consumer gadget. A farmer's livelihood depends on it running during a 3-week planting window. Problem number 2, zero parts network. When your Chinese tractor breaks down, and it will, you can't find parts. The factory that made your specific model either doesn't exist anymore or pivoted to making something else. No supply chain, no catalog. You're left with an expensive pile of metal. Problem number 3, no service infrastructure. No mechanics trained on the machines, no warranty support, no service centers. I bought 2 Chinese tractors. Both failed before the second harvest. I will never buy Chinese again. David, Uganda. Of those 100+ Chinese brands that flooded African markets, most are gone. China tried to win on price alone. They lost. Number 3, Europe, the expensive irrelevance. European tractors are genuinely extraordinary. Fendt, Deutz-Fahr, Claas, engineering masterpieces, climate-controlled cabs, GPS-guided autonomous steering, features that belong in a spaceship. But here's the problem. Problem number 1, the price is disconnected from reality. A loaded Fendt 942 can easily top over $500,000 for a tractor. In South Asia, a farmer might earn $3,000 a year. In sub-Saharan Africa, $1,500. Even in rural America, where the median farm household earns negative income, a $500,000 tractor isn't a purchase. It's a fantasy. Problem number 2, built for Europe, irrelevant everywhere else. These machines need specialized technicians, proprietary software, and parts that take weeks to arrive outside Europe. Almost no service presence across Africa, South Asia, or Latin America. European tractor brands have almost no presence in the developing markets where most of the world's farming actually happens. Beautiful, brilliant, and useless where it counts. Number 2, Japan, the heartbreaking near miss. Now we have to talk about Japan. And look, I'm going to be careful here because I know half of you have an orange tractor in the barn right now that you swear by. And you should. Kubota's engineering is world-class. Their reliability is legendary. Over 1,100 dealerships in the United States. Parts arrive in days. A 5-year-old Kubota retains more than half its value. Owners describe machines running flawlessly after 30 years. If I'm being honest, Kubota might be the most trustworthy tractor brand you can buy in America right now. So Japan should dominate everywhere, right? Not quite. Why Japan struggles? Reason number 1, price positioning. A Kubota compact starts around $12,000. Reasonable until you add a loader and implements, and you're at $22,000 to $28,000. Their utility range runs $25,000 to $45,000. A comparable John Deere in the 40 to 60 horsepower range, $35,000 to $55,000 before implements. On a farm running negative net income with debt at record levels, those numbers are increasingly hard to justify. Reason number 2, marketing the wrong thing. Japanese manufacturers compete on specs, horsepower, technology, precision, but a smallholder in Tanzania or a family farm in Oklahoma doesn't care about cutting-edge technology. They care about 3 things. Will this start every morning for 20 years? Can I fix it myself? Can I afford the parts? Kubota can answer yes to all of that, but they're priced and marketed as if those questions are secondary. Reason number 3, the parts cost gap. A clutch pack on a Kubota runs $150 to $250. The brand winning in developing markets, a fraction of that, available at thousands of service points within reach of nearly any farm. Don't get me wrong, Japanese tractors are excellent, genuinely excellent. But excellent doesn't matter if people can't afford it. That's why Japan is number 2, not number 1. China failed on quality and service. Europe priced itself into irrelevance. Japan, one of the great engineering traditions in the world, drew a price line that left most of the planet's farmers on the wrong side of it. Which means the company that cracked all 3, quality, service, and affordability, wins everything. And it's not who you think. Number 1, India, the world's tractor empire. Who outcompeted China, Europe, and Japan? India, one company, Mahindra, world's number 1 tractor brand by volume, 16 consecutive years. India, the world's largest tractor market, sold over 1.2 million tractors in 2025. Mahindra dominates it with roughly 44% market share. 4 million tractors sold globally since they started making them. 50-plus countries, 5 continents. Now, John Deere still dominates large tractors and generates far more revenue. Mahindra's dominance is in compact and mid-sized tractors, the machines used by the vast majority of farmers globally. That's not a small achievement, that's the whole market. Now you must be thinking, India? Really? Yes, really. Let me show you the empire. The empire. In Uganda, Mahindra commands overwhelming market share. In Kenya and Tanzania, they're the default choice, not a premium option. In Nigeria, among the top-selling tractor brands nationally. In Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the Philippines, Mahindra territory for decades. Colombia, Mexico, Peru, the same proven formula doing the same work across Latin America. This is not market presence, this is market ownership. Why India won? Reason number 1, they asked the right question. European manufacturers asked, what's the most advanced tractor we can engineer? Japanese manufacturers asked, what's the most reliable? Mahindra asked, what does a farmer in Uganda, Nepal, or rural Brazil actually need? Under $15,000 in local markets, runs on rough roads, simple enough to maintain with basic tools, parts available everywhere, built to last 20 years, same horsepower, same job, half the price. They built exactly that, nothing more, nothing less. Reason number 2, they built an ecosystem, not just tractors. Mahindra didn't just ship tractors to new markets. They built the whole system, trained local mechanics, established parts networks, built service infrastructure in towns, international brands ignored completely. A European brand might have a dealer in the capital city. A Japanese brand might have a warehouse at the port. Mahindra, there's a trained mechanic and genuine parts within reach of almost any farm they sell into. That's how you earn a farmer's trust. Reason number 3, they actually cared about these markets. Mahindra didn't dump their Indian models overseas unchanged. Stiffer suspensions, engines recalibrated for low-quality fuel, air filtration for extreme dust. They treated Africa, Latin America, and South Asia as real markets, not dumping grounds. That respect is exactly what the competition never gave those markets, and it's why Mahindra won them all. The human story. There's a farmer in Uganda who has been running the same Mahindra for 14 years, same machine, He cultivates his land, transports goods to market, and hires it out to neighboring farms during planting season. 3 income streams from one tractor. When asked why he never switched brands, he said, "When something goes wrong, I fix it myself. And when I can't fix it, my neighbor can. There is nobody here who cannot figure out a Mahindra." That's what Mahindra's global dominance actually means. The machine, the parts, the knowledge, designed to work for real farmers in real conditions, without a software subscription, without waiting weeks for someone with a laptop to authorize a part you already hold in your hand. Why Americans are missing out. If Mahindra is the world's #1 tractor company, 16 years running, why don't most American farmers know about them? 3 reasons. Reason number 1, the price equals quality trap. Americans assume expensive means better. A $300,000 John Deere must be superior to a $20,000 Mahindra. But hundreds of millions of farmers in Africa, Asia, and Latin America judge by one standard. Does it work when I need it? Does it last? Can I fix it? By those metrics, Mahindra has proven itself on every continent. For decades, the price tag tells you what a company charges. It doesn't tell you what you get. Reason number 2, no visibility in America. Compared to John Deere's multi-billion-dollar marketing machine, county fairs, TV commercials, stadium naming rights, Mahindra has practically zero visibility. No commercials during football games, no billboards on the interstate, no presence at the Farm Progress Show. If you don't market to Americans, Americans don't know you exist. Reason number 3, they've been here the whole time. Mahindra entered the US in 1994, 32 years ago. Around 400 dealerships across nearly every state, assembly facilities on US soil. They've sold hundreds of thousands of tractors in North America. And in 2025, they celebrated 300,000 US tractor sales in America already. Tony Stewart, NASCAR Hall of Famer, runs a Mahindra on his 414-acre Indiana ranch. His choice. Nobody paid him to say that. The tractor has been here. You just weren't looking. Now, honest talk, because this channel doesn't do ads. Mahindra is not perfect. Their dealer network is thin compared to Kubota's 1,100 plus. If you break a specialized part in rural America, you might wait weeks, whereas a John Deere dealer has it on the shelf tomorrow. On a working farm, that delay can cost you a harvest. You need to know that going in. And yes, John Deere holds its resale value better at auction, but that only matters if you're planning to sell. Most farmers just want a tractor that dies in the same barn it started in. But here's what changes the calculation completely. The FTC is currently taking John Deere to federal court for monopolizing the repair market. Consumer advocacy groups estimate the cost to American farmers at $4.2 billion every year, roughly $3,400 per farmer just to fix equipment they already own. Mahindra's design traces back to 1963 International Harvester machines. Simpler, owner-serviceable, no proprietary authorization to install a part you already bought. You can fix it with a 9/16 wrench and a flathead, just like your grandfather did. No laptop required. No authorized technician driving 3 hours to your place just to click OK on a screen. That's what freedom from your equipment actually looks like. Let's wrap it up. China tried to win on price, fell apart on quality, parts, and service. Europe built the most extraordinary machines on the planet, then priced them for people who don't worry about money. Japan built one of the most reliable tractors in the world, then drew a price line that left too many farmers on the wrong side. And India built the thing everyone else missed: affordable, reliable, fixable, supported. 3 continents figured this out decades ago. America is still catching up. I'm not saying sell your Kubota, but if you're buying new, if you're looking at a $20,000 to $30,000 price point and being pushed toward a machine that costs $40,000 to $55,000 and needs a software subscription to diagnose, there's a third option the industry doesn't advertise. So here's my question. Be brutally honest in the comments. Would you actually buy a $20,000 Mahindra over a $35,000 John Deere doing the same job? Or does Made in America still win no matter what the price tag says? No judgment, just real talk. I'll pin the best answers. And if you want to see a real side-by-side field test, Mahindra versus Kubota versus John Deere, same horsepower class, same jobs, for a full month on a real farm, drop a comment below. Hit like if this changed how you think about tractors. Subscribe for content that challenges what the industry tells you to believe. See you in the next one.